Here are 5 no-nonsense tips you can use to nail your coming exams and get straight distinctions. And you're probably asking yourself, why should I listen to this kid in a green hoodie and some messy hair? So I've been a top performing student my entire life, from being part of the top 30 learners in my matric year to being part of the top 5 in my faculty at university during my second year, being part of the Dean's Merit List twice, and being recognized by societies such as the Golden Key International Honor Society, which I think is a scam, but that's a story for another day. So in today's video, I want to give you 5 no-nonsense tips that if you follow, you're definitely going to nail your coming exams. So tip number 1, stop trying to revise everything. You don't have time, right? So most people, what they do is they start by wanting to go through the entire textbook, chapter by chapter, going through all their notes, right? You don't have time to do that. So I want you to use this 3-step process instead. So firstly, I want you to pick up any past question paper, even if you feel like you're not ready to do a past question paper, even if you feel like there are specific sections that you haven't covered. I want you to pick up that past question paper, sit down and do it under exam conditions, but make sure that you finish the entire thing, right? So even if it takes you a bit longer to finish it, make sure that you write out each and every answer in that question paper for the things that you know. And then after that, I want you to sit down, mark your attempt, give yourself a mark for each required or for each question. So for example, for question 1.1, I got a 3 out of 5, and then turn it into a percentage. What that is going to do is it's going to help you highlight or basically spotlight those areas in which you're struggling with, right? Because if you struggled with, maybe let's say required 2.2, and required 2.2 was testing this specific topic, you know that you really need to go and revise that topic. But how you do it is, obviously, if you identify your gaps, you strategically go review your notes now for those specific sections in which you perform badly in. What this does, it helps you to save time not to go through specific sections that you already know well, so that you only focus on the things that you kind of like struggling with and build from there. And after you've done this, so it's a 3-step process. Past question paper, you mark it, you identify your gaps, and then step 3, you go strategically review your notes. And then you can repeat the process with another question paper until exam time. By the time you get to the exam, you'll be comfortable answering exam questions. And some of the answers, you're going to come up with them, and then you'll ask yourself, I don't even know how I came up with them. But because you were able to identify your gaps and strategically basically cover those gaps. Tip number 2, which is the most important one, this one nearly costed me getting a distinction a couple of times during my schooling career, right? It's not getting enough sleep before an exam. So most of the time, students, because we're anxious, we basically have that anxiety to say, okay, we feel like we're not as prepared, which we usually overestimate, by the way, to say we're not prepared while we know most of the stuff. Not getting enough sleep is like walking into an exam drunk, right? You probably know the answers, you probably know some of the things, but because you're tired, because your mind is functioning at a slower pace, you're gonna start missing important information. You're gonna start making lousy mistakes in your calculations, in your answers, or forgetting to mention specific things. Not because you don't know them, not because they were hard, but just because your mind was functioning at a slower rate. So make sure that you get at least 6 to 8 hours each day, right? Even if it means going to bed a little bit earlier to ensure that you're getting your full 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Tip number 3, I want you to focus on understanding the process and not just cramming those specific questions from past question papers you did, right? For example, whenever you're doing a specific topic, I don't want you to focus on, okay, cool, this is what this question paper did. I want you to say at a high level, what's the process that I can follow each and every time I'm answering this type of questions. So you'll basically say, okay, cool, step number 1, I need to find this. Step number 2, I need to find this. Write that process in waves, because once you do that, you basically have a certain process that whenever you're attempting such questions, you can follow, rather than you trying to remember specific numbers from a past question paper to say, oh, that past question paper divided 3 by this, you're not going to win in that case. But however, once you start writing it in waves and say, okay, cool, whenever I find this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by finding the effective interest rate. And after finding the effective interest rate, I want to find this. You write the process in waves, because once you understand the process, then you definitely can tackle each and every question that they throw at you. Because most students, what they do is they try to cram the past question paper, hoping that the examiner is going to basically ask in the same light as that past question paper. And when they get there, the examiner changed a lot of things and now they're confused. Why? Because they don't understand the process, they don't understand the why behind those topics. So try by understanding at a high level, this is the main objective of the topic, and then each and every time I get questions on this topic, this is the process that I need to follow each and every time to get to my specific answer. And that's how you basically capitalize and get the most marks in those exams. And tip number 4, I want you to simulate exam conditions as early as possible, right? From the time you're doing tip number 1, whereby you're picking a past question paper, always try to set a timer, make sure that your notes are away, you're not referring to your notes, so that you're basically comfortable being in exam conditions. By the time you get to that exam, it's all familiar to you because now you're familiar, or you're comfortable writing without seeing your notes. You're comfortable writing under time pressure, and you've also practiced now. You can finish on time because you simulated exam conditions early. Most students, what they do is they basically, when they're doing past question papers, when it starts getting hard, they just refer to their notes. You training your mind to always refer to the notes, and by the time you get to the exam and then you realize that you don't have your notes next to you, you're going to get frustrated because you're not used to working under exam conditions. So make sure that you work under exam conditions. You set a timer, you sit down on your desk, you make sure that all your notes are away, and then you attempt the question. Tip number 5, I want you to pray, believe, and move with delusional confidence. Let me tell you how many times I've walked into a certain test or a certain exam underprepared, right? With maybe like 2 or 3 topics that I didn't know, that I didn't touch at all. But because I walked in there with crazy confidence, crazy delusion, I usually trump that exam. And most of the times before each and every exam I pray. I'll close my eyes and say, oh God, I didn't bring myself here. I didn't bring myself into this world, right? I don't know how I understand stuff. This is all you're praying. It's up to you. I'm going to give it to you to make sure that I pass these exams. You're going to be the one who's writing today, not me. Even after the exam, I'm like, yo God, you're the one who wrote, and I believe in you, and you can make things happen. I'm done. I'm not going to stress about this test because I did my absolute best. And then everything that happens from here, I give it up to you. And once you do that, you basically move with delusional confidence that confidence will carry you too. What most students do instead is they get into exam, they don't have that confidence, and then when they get one tough questions, they start spiraling because now they're getting frustrated and now they're losing marks on other stuff that they could have written down. So for me, it's like if I don't know something, I moves to something else that I know, and I write whatever comes to mind. I write it down because you never know. God is with you and will always be with you. So make sure that you like this video so that we help more people. Make sure that you drop a comment if you have any question, and make sure that you subscribe, join the community, and then let's become top performing individuals together. Cheers.